Welcome to the second annual OT Recognition Ceremony. We particularly welcome OT students who take courses in Rochester and have traveled here to join us at the main campus for this event. We also thank the families and friends who are here to support these students as they follow the path of occupational therapy. And we thank all of our viewers streamed through our YouTube channel from distant locations. Please refrain from photos during the ceremony. You'll have time to take photos after the ceremony and during the reception. I know it's a little rainy, but I suggest a visit to the Golden Gopher out in front of the street level entrance of this building as a particularly good photo opportunity. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, Dr. Michael Iwama, who was set to be our keynote speaker, was not able to attend today. In his regards, however, we have a video presentation that we can share for you all today. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little bit about Michael Iwama. Dr. Michael Iwama is widely recognized for having developed the Kawa model. Kawa is Japanese for river, the first substantial model of practice in rehabilitation sciences and developed outside of the English-speaking world. The Kawa model is now taught in over 600 health professions education programs internationally, including ours, and is used in practice across 6 continents. He's emerged as a very important and progressive thinker in the field of occupational therapy and rehabilitation sciences worldwide. Dr. Iwama draws on his rich experience of acculturating into Eastern and Western social spheres of experience to drive his profound and critical perspectives on culture and its intersections with theory and practice in the rehabilitation sciences. A passionate and captivating communicator, Dr. Iwama regularly is invited to lecture to both U.S. and international audiences. And since his book, The Kawa Model, Culturally Relevant Occupational Therapy, was published in 2006, he has given over 350 invited national and international lectures and over 90 keynote and plenary addresses at scientific and professional conferences, and I know he wishes he could be here with you today. He's sent texts and emails, and his emergency just prevents him from being able to attend in person, and he will follow up with all of us at a later date. Dr. Iwama is professor in the Occupational Therapy Doctoral Division in the School of Medicine at Duke University. Prior to his appointment at Duke, he served as dean and professor of the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences at Mass General Hospital Institute of Health Professions in Boston. Dr. Iwama is an adjunct professor in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Toronto and holds similar adjunct professorial appointments in 6 universities in Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and Asia. Dr. Iwama completed advanced studies in medical anthropology from the University of Leiden, the Netherlands, and has earned a PhD in sociology from Kibi International University in Japan, and a Master of Science in Rehabilitation Sciences from the University of British Columbia, a Bachelor of Science in Occupational Therapy from the University of British Columbia, and a Bachelor of Science in Human Performance from the University of Victoria. I really wish I could be introducing him in person to you today. But we have a video of Dr. Iwama when he presented in March 27th, 2019 at Massachusetts General Hospital. And I'm going to show you that video so you can really see and experience what he's like as he's talking about this critical model. And then we will follow that with Dr. Patricia Shaber, who will share a little bit about how this model applies to our program. So with that, could you start the video?
The MGH-IHP is rapidly emerging as one of the premier health professions institutes in the world. My name is Michael Iwama, and I am an occupational therapist by health profession. I have the pleasure of serving the MGH-IHP as its Dean of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I would like to introduce you all to a relatively new model or framework of practice in the health sciences, which stands to revolutionize the way that we go about delivering compassionate and culturally relevant care to a diverse clientele. And at this point in time, I would like to also just remind everyone that if you have any questions or points that you would like me to discuss in the second half of this presentation, please just feel free to just put your questions forward, and I'll be happy to address those. This new model is something that is called the Kawa model. Kawa is the Japanese word for river. And this model uses the metaphor of a river to depict a person's life journey and their day-to-day experiences. Many of us don't realize that the models and the theories and assessments that we use in practice are actually cultural artifacts, or in other words, they're culturally bound. These frameworks are things that we create and thus are infused with the social, cultural norms of the person who actually created these things. So we're not probably aware of the fact that models are actually not culture-free. They're actually influenced by the actual views of reality of the creator of those models. We unwittingly take these models and standards of performance and treatment expectations based on a particular cultural context. And we go about then applying these frameworks universally to everyone everywhere, as if our clients were all the same. That's a big problem in terms of being able to deliver culturally relevant care. And one way to get past this fundamental problem of cultural dissonance is to reverse the power dynamic. So instead of taking one particular model and then foisting that or applying that one framework to everyone everywhere in the same way, we actually turn that around and we shift the focus onto the client, and more importantly, their narrative or their story or their depiction and perspective of their daily life realities. We go about doing this with the Kawa model when we use the river metaphor to then use as a vehicle of communication between the client and the therapist. And I'd like to now shift your focus onto the screen next to me, and I'd like to now explain how the river metaphor can be used as we do with the Kawa model. So on your left-hand side, you will see a picture of what looks like a river that is flowing from the mountains to a large body of water. It may be a lake, or it may be the sea or the ocean. But this particular picture of this river is actually used to depict a person's life journey. Imagine your life as a river. It starts up in the mountains where the rain and snow falls on the slopes of the mountain, and the glaciers melt, and the aquifers bring forth their water to then create small streams or flows of water. So up here in this picture, I've depicted this as where birth occurs. And then as the waters then are pulled by gravity, they move downwards and eventually meander their way to the great body of water, which is symbolic in this model of end of life. For many of the people who are watching, this is not a complete metaphor of the life journey. In fact, some people will say that this is actually just not the end of life, but the waters will evaporate, will be taken by the clouds, and then brought back over the mountains again to release their load of moisture to create and perpetuate new rivers or new lives. At any point along the course of this river, if we were to take some cross sections and looked at the view sideways, as I have shown in this picture on the right-hand side of the screen, we'll see that the basic elements of the river are constant and the same from place to place to place. However, their configuration and their relative positions to one another differ. And so we have four elements that basically make up the river, and these are, the first and most important element is water, and they're depicted by the blue spots in this cross section. Water is symbolic of life or life flow. And what we want to see in a person's river is lots of water. It means that things are flowing nicely, that their life is flowing along quite well. The water or life is bounded by and influenced greatly by the river walls and sides, which are symbolic of the social and the physical environment. And as we know, if we were to take a cross-section of the river at different points, there will be times when the river walls and sides seem expansive, allowing greater flow to occur within it. And there are times when, for whatever reason, the river walls have thickened and have actually constrained the channel of flow. This is often what will happen when catastrophe comes into a person's life. For example, a health problem. Problems in this particular metaphor is depicted by rocks of different sizes and shapes. So as you can see in the picture, there are large rocks and small rocks. And what these essentially do is that when they rest up against the river walls and sides, they actually create an obstruction or a slowing down of flow. One person's problems and challenges will differ from another person's problems and challenges. That is the uniqueness of our lives. And so when catastrophe occurs, for example, if a person has been involved in a traffic accident and then has been given a diagnosis from the medical professionals, it is very much like a river in which a rock has appeared all of a sudden. And the rocks will combine with the river walls and sides to compound the blockage to flow. You'll also see a fourth element in this river, and that is of driftwood. Driftwood are very interesting elements in a river because they can either have a positive or negative and even a neutral effect upon the flow of water within that river. So, for example, driftwood can actually rest up against some rocks or the other hard surfaces in the river and actually add to the obstruction of flow. They can conversely act in a very positive way in the river's flow by actually hitting a rock and breaking it, or rubbing up along the sides of the river walls and the surfaces of the rocks in order to decrease the relative sizes of these elements, thus creating new channels of flow. Or sometimes the driftwood can go flowing right on by without any kind of consequences at all. Driftwood is symbolic of personal factors. I've written them up here on this particular picture as assets and liabilities. But really, driftwood are personal factors. These are personal attributes, strengths, knowledge, personality types. So, for example, one particular personality factor or trait could be that a person has a personality type of being very self-determined, being stubborn, and whereas in another person, another piece of driftwood might be that they went to college and they acquired specialized knowledge as well as skills to be able to do something. They can also be things like traits that we've been born with. For example, maybe some of us have musical talent, or a knack for numbers, or working with computers, or that we're really good with our hands and good at carving and putting things together. All of these things can work in a positive or negative way in a person's life. So if I go back to that example that I just gave about a person who has a tendency to be stubborn and self-deterministic, if you combine that piece of driftwood together with a rock, such as a major injury with functional limitations in everyday life, you'll see that that stubbornness and that self-determinedness would actually compound or frustrate and add to the blockage of flow in that person's life. But if the therapist or health professional can harness that determinedness or their stubbornness, their stick-to-itiveness, or whatever we want to call it, and then focus it through therapeutic activities that can actually serve as a driftwood pushing a rock out of the way or eroding in some aspect of the river walls and sides to create new channels of flow. This is a demonstration of how driftwood can actually act. Okay? So this is essentially what the Kawa model is about. And I know that in a very short period of time that I have with you today, that we can't get into more specifics and in any of this material in a deeper way. This is merely an introduction to perhaps whet your appetite for more information. So now what I want to say in conclusion to this particular introduction is that rehabilitation professionals, occupational therapists in particular, we like to pride ourselves in looking at the whole person, that we are holistic in our approach, that we not only just see the medical diagnosis or the problem that the person is experiencing, but we look at the consequences of those problems in their ability to live everyday life to the fullest. And so I'd like to think that we are the professionals who consider the person in the context of their day-to-day realities and find ways to enable greater flow in their lives. Our interventions might take the form of maybe working on a particular problem that the person has expressed or has demonstrated in their everyday life. It may be that we need to intervene and offer something of value to the environments in which they abide in. Maybe there are aspects of their social environment, their relationships. Or maybe it has to do with the actual physical spaces in which they need to function, such as in the home or in the workplace, or out in the community and in society. Are there ways that we can find that we can pull the river walls back a little bit to create larger flow to happen? Are there ways in which we can take existing driftwood and utilize and mobilize those in order to enable greater flow? So we are holistic, and just like a river, all of these elements are interrelated and interconnected. If you change one element, you change the entire river. And we are agents of enabling greater flow in people's lives. The last thing that I want to say about this is that instead of just looking at problems, we're actually looking for all of the blue areas that remain in a person's life. The strengths. We try to take those strengths and we try to enable them to be even stronger. It's a strength-based approach that we are taking to this, and I believe that it is really the way to go to deliver a culturally relevant occupational therapy. So the last thing that I want to say is that the take-home lesson of the Kawa model is this. Think about the client as being the theorist who develops a model that explains and describes their experience of everyday life. The therapist in this case becomes a student of that theorist model, asking questions, engaging in a meaningful conversation that will identify and to bring to mutual understanding what that person's experience of everyday life is like. and then from there to put their heads together to come up with strategies, priorities, and ways in which to enable that person's life to flow better. We are all part of a great profession in which we are striving to enable people from all walks of life to engage and participate in activities that have value and meaning. I conclude this presentation of the Kawa model with a wish, and that is, may your rivers flow powerfully and beautifully going forward. Thank you very much. And now we're going to turn to the questions and comments that have been given to us to this point in time.
So my name is Patricia Shaber. I am one of the professors in the program in occupational therapy. And I, for years, taught the Kawa model in the program. In occupational therapy, specifically in the doctoral program, there's a strong emphasis on theory. But occupational therapy is an applied science in that we take the theories and we apply them to our occupational practice, which is engaging in day-to-day activities. So the Kawa model is very subjective. As Dr. Omama said, I get to decide how my river is flowing. I'm the center of my flow. I'm the one that determines the bottom and the walls of the river. I'm the one that identifies the challenges, be it an illness, be it an injury. I'm the one that gets to decide what those rocks are, those barriers to my life flow in the river. And I'm the one that gets to look at what is the driftwood that can push these rocks out of the way to increase my river's life flow. So being a very subjective model, as I'm describing this model, I'm developing my story. And I can say my life flow is really not doing very well right now. Well, that means that maybe right now, if the therapist would enter into my world and work with me, I can figure out strategies and ways to increase that life flow. So it's my story, and that story changes through time. Now I would like to take a look and try to put it on the student experience. So for a minute, I want students, occupational therapy students, to reflect. What was that story before you started the program in occupational therapy? Oh, you had a job, and oh, I think I'm gonna go into occupational therapy. Gee, my life flow is just really calm, and I'm just moving along, and I've got everything set, I'm working a job, and oh, there's a few rocks, I got a prerequisite to finish. Oh yeah, I've got that essay to finish, the application. Yeah, I've got to pay for the application. Okay, there are a few rocks and challenges on the way. But essentially, life is pretty good. And then what happens? Bam, you get into the program. The rocks start piling up. You're at the top of the river, right? And you're starting to come down and you're thinking, financial, that's a huge rock. And then you're starting to think, my time management isn't the best. Wow, that's another really big rock. And oh, those wonderful people around me that are the bottom and the sides of my river. Not only will my life flow change, but I'm gonna affect their life flow. So those people might not have the same amount of time and the same quality of time with you. Okay, now I'm in the program, I'm in the first year. I've got these big rocks. Wow, that water is just really churning. Help, help. And then comes along this wonderful professor. This piece of driftwood. Bang on the rock. Oh, okay. And then, oh, I get a scholarship. Whoa, another rock out of the way. Oh, gee, Mom said I could draw out of her retirement fund. Yay! Bang, another rock is busted. Okay, so this churning in the first year, when you're trying to settle it out, it's actually working. By the end of the first year, yeah, my life is flowing really well. And then summer session comes, and you get me for quantitative research. Bam, big rock. But you get to the second year, and you get the pace. Things are moving along. I'm getting this. Gee, I'm having the second of the practice series built on the first. Yeah, I can do this. Move those rocks out of the way, get more wonderful professors coming along, extending their office hours for you. And yeah, I get this. And your partner, significant other, family members, they're all kind of getting used to saying, it's Sunday, I have to work on assignments all day. So that would be second year, but you get it. The life is flowing along. And then comes third year. Oh my gosh, there are a ton of rocks. I'm going to hit the rapids. Because now you have field work and that dreaded experience, which turns into a piece of driftwood because it becomes a wonderful experience, capstone. So third year students are moving along pretty well, but of course that river is kind of meandering around, and actually some of the tributaries go out in different ways, but what's at the end of it is this wonderful mouth where the river flows into the ocean, which is the profession of occupational therapy. And at that point, you join all of us, and we're there waiting for you, because now you're the consummate professional. And you can build on the values and beliefs of the profession. You can pave your way through the rest of your life in a profession that will never bore you, constantly challenge you, stimulate you, and you'll feel like you made a difference in the lives of others. So keep your eye on the ocean, the sea, the great body of water, and it's not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of another one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shaber. All right, the focus of occupational therapy are those everyday activities or tasks that, when strung together, fill a day. We call these activities occupations, or the way people fill their time. And we particularly value the importance of habits and routines that add efficiency and meaning to our days. And rituals are one of those patterns of activity that are steeped in symbolism and add meaning to life. Therefore, it is particularly fitting that we honor our OT students who are deeply steeped in occupations of study and practice as they add a new role, occupational therapist, to their lives. We recognize each of the 3 classes of OT students as they walk across the stage to receive tokens of recognition for their transitions in the process of becoming an occupational therapist. Each class has prepared a short presentation of their experiences within the OT doctoral curriculum, and after each presentation, students within that class cohort will walk across the stage to receive their token of recognition. First-year students will receive their name tag, nice name tag, to use throughout the rest of their experiential learning, and a jacket as a token of entering the profession of occupational therapy. This jacket identifies their important role as ambassadors of occupational therapy whenever they wear the jacket in public, so we'll be watching. Second-year students will receive a tote bag to carry tools of practice into Level 2 fieldwork, which is 24 weeks of full-time practice as an OT under the direct supervision of a licensed occupational therapist. Be sure to check inside the bag for the selected tools of practice. And then third-year students will receive a pin and a badge holder to honor their completion of the basic components of practice, and their transition to capstone, which is a 14-week full-time experience within which is embedded a data-driven project. Capstone provides advanced experiences in program development, advanced practice, and research amongst other areas, and is the culmination of study in areas of leadership, using evidence and advanced practice for individuals, communities, and populations. Please hold your applause until all the classes have walked across the stage. And at this time, I would like to invite Rachel Jerebeck, Hope Lusbrock, Haley Malloy, and Taylor McShane to the podium as representatives of the class of 2025. These are first-year students representing both Minneapolis and Rochester performance locations, and they will present a slideshow developed by the first-year students about their experiences in the program. Here is a clicker. Does anyone want it? Sure.
Hello, family and friends. My name is Hope Lusbrock, and as Peggy just said, I'm a part of the first-year Twin Cities cohort.
I'm Taylor McShane, and I'm a part of the Rochester cohort.
I'm Haley Malloy, and I'm also a part of the Rochester cohort.
I'm Rachel Jerebeck, and I'm part of the Rochester cohort.
On behalf of all of us in the first-year cohorts, we want to thank you for being here today, for your role in supporting us and guiding us to help us get to this point. We look forward to growing together the next 3 years, and soon we will be gathered together to celebrate our graduation. Personally, as a Twin Cities cohort, we have created friendships and support for one another that we will carry with us after our educational endeavors.
I wanted to take this opportunity to give our family and friends some perspective of our cohort dynamic in Rochester. During the first week of classes, each professor would walk into our classroom, look around, then say, "Wow, is this it?" The next several months following, the same professors would begin class by making some comment about how small our cohort is and how amazing or enjoyable it is to have such a small cohort. To give you some perspective, according to the American Occupational Therapy Association, or AOTA as we call it, the average size of an OT graduate program cohort is 30 students, and we have 14. Having such a small cohort has provided us the opportunity to bond quickly and get to know each other closely, as if we had known each other for years, even with it being a hybrid program. Essentially, our cohort has become a small team or family. We go through some of the hardest days and weeks of our lives together. We help and support each other during these difficult times. We celebrate the good things together, no matter how small, and we are there for each other. Hopefully, I am not speaking for myself when I say I truly don't know how we would get through each semester without each other. I'm sure other cohorts of a larger size have similar feelings, but something about having such a small cohort has provided us with the opportunity to feel like one little family getting through the next 3 years of life together, and friendships that will continue on throughout our lives.
I'm going to share a little bit about how the program has been going for us these past 2 semesters. So as Taylor mentioned, this is a hybrid program, which means that we have both face-to-face and online learning. We have modules on Canvas, which is pretty much just an online classroom, and each week a module comes out that contains lessons that are created by our faculty that include readings, as well as activities, assignments, and discussions. The workload week to week varies, but it is definitely a full-time job being in this program. Every other week, we meet for 2 days in person for lab classes. As you could tell by the pictures that we're scrolling through before we started this part of the ceremony, we don't get enough time together in class because we choose to hang out outside of it as well. In my opinion, and I hope that I am speaking accurately for others, in-person class is always a little bit exciting. Not only do we get to see each other, but we typically get to learn through hands-on work and group discussions. Being hybrid brings a sort of enthusiasm to in-person class and getting to be all together. Like Taylor said, we go through a lot together and we become like a family. Virtual course content is a little less exciting in regard to socialization, but it is still unique and enjoyable to finally be studying OT, which many of us have been working towards for a very long time. We participate in dyad and group projects, so this helps us practice interacting professionally with others. and sometimes we even get to work between the Twin Cities and Rochester cohorts. This semester, we learned about group work and professional development, so it's interesting to be able to apply that to our real lives. Along with our courses, we get hands-on experience through field work. Each semester, we are placed in a level 1 fieldwork opportunity, which corresponds to a particular population. The populations include child and youth, adults, older adults, and mental health or behavioral health. There are various facilities and experiences for each one of these populations, so our experiences vary between each of us. Fieldwork is one of my favorite parts of the curriculum because not only do we get to interact with the client and experience the OT process in action, but it also helps translate the course content into practice and promotes a deeper level of comprehension. Our end of semester simulations are our finals for fieldwork, where we demonstrate our competency with the OT process in practice. Our first and second semester are on Zoom, and we also had the opportunity for a NICU simulation, which Rachel will talk a little bit more about. Volunteering is another experience that we all participate in and enjoy, and it allows us to have practice and exposure to our field. Many of us partake in it on our own time, but it has also been woven into the curriculum. This past semester, we had a community-engaged learning, and it was a major component of our professional development course, where we were required to spend 20 hours at a facility gaining experience with group work, as well as delving into an area of interest or specialty area of practice. We also have a partnership for volunteering, which is worth noting, called the Phillips Neighborhood Clinic, which again, many of the students participate in. This is a student-run free healthcare clinic here in Minneapolis, and it is a 2-year commitment. I won't go into too much detail on that, but those currently involved, who are first-year students, are transitioning into OT clinician role. So it's an amazing opportunity for us to connect and work with other healthcare professional students, as well as get a feel for the OT process in a clinical setting. One key moment of our program was our picnic before the semester started in early September. It was definitely nerve-wracking heading into not knowing anybody, but looking back, it is a core memory since starting the program. It was the first time that we got to meet each other and interact with others in the cohort, and it is the only time up until now that where all cohorts, Twin Cities and Rochester, 1 through 3 year, and the faculty have all been together. It was a nice icebreaker and allowed for us to meet our mentors from the year above us, and it was a lot of fun. I'm also going to discuss a little bit about the first class, or the first day of class. It was honestly a bit of a blur for me, which I feel like I'm probably speaking on behalf of many of the other first-year students. It had a mixture of excitement and nervousness for what was to come with this program. But what did stand out was that we had an orientation to the school, the program, and the faculty, as well as a semester or a lunch with the 4th semester students. The class dynamic, as Taylor mentioned, was completely different at the beginning of the semester as it is compared to now. We were all timid, quiet, and unsure of what to expect. In just these 2 semesters, we've grown together and grown with each other. Being in a cohort, and specifically the one that I'm in, I feel like, is something that I would not trade for the world. My classmates are a built-in support system, and I think that it's safe to say we've made friendships and connections that will last a lifetime.
During our first semester, we spent time learning about the basics and foundation of occupational therapy and began our level 1 fieldwork experiences. We took courses targeted towards building our knowledge and understanding of the profession before learning more about the different practice settings. This semester, we began learning about different areas of practice in varying populations, such as children and youth, adults, and older adults. This is exciting as we each have different areas of interest that we would like to go into. We also started to learn about the research process in OT and began practicing and applying that knowledge through individual research projects that we had the opportunity to present this past week. As Haley mentioned, at the end of each semester, we participate in a simulation to put our learning to practice, where a hired actor or actress portrays a client and we are their occupational therapist. We go through the steps of the OT process with them. This allows us to apply what we have learned throughout the semester and in our fieldwork experiences in a simulated telehealth therapy session for the first 2 semesters. One unique experience we had this semester for the first time ever in this program, was an in-person NICU simulation. We got to work with 2 NICU OTs and learn about the role of our profession in providing sensory and environmental modifications to meet the needs of infants in the NICU. This was a fun and interactive lab that allowed us to gain insight into the advanced practice specialty of OT. During our in-person class sessions, we are able to put our practice to the test and have hands-on practice with various aspects of OT. So far, we have practiced giving and scoring assessments, evaluations and screenings, positioning and mobility transfers. We all have a ton of fun when we get together in person and practice our skills with each other.
There are many exciting things coming up for first-year students. Next week, we begin completing our finals for the spring semester and preparing for our second semester simulations, which take place either on May 8th or May 9th. Once finished with our simulations, we will then have a 3-week break before we begin our 8-week summer semester on June 5th, which will also mark us successfully completing 1/3 of the program already. Following our month break after summer semester, we will kick off our fall semester attending the all-program picnic on September 5th. Except this time, we will be the second-year students having the opportunity to give guidance to the new first-year students and become mentors. During the upcoming summer and fall semesters, some students will begin to take elective courses to fulfill the 6 credits that are required within the program and will be related to our specific areas of interest within OT. Lastly, what makes this program a doctoral program is the final 14-week capstone experience project we must complete following completion of all coursework and 24 weeks of level 2 fieldwork. This project will not take place until our final year. However, we will be assigned our capstone advisor this fall semester.
Now that you guys have seen a day in the life of a doctoral student, we can't forget about all the fun memories that we have made together outside of our studies this year.
I know it may be very, very hard to believe, but we do actually have somewhat of a life outside of school. Some activities the Rochester cohort has participated in together are Gopher football games, coffee homework dates, Super Bowl party, Rochester's social ice event, Secret Santa, dinner or lunches after class, birthday celebrations, and even sleepovers on weeks we have class, since half of our cohort commutes from differing areas such as the Twin Cities, Mankato, or even Iowa.
A few standout memories the Twin Cities cohort has made together were Gopher game days as well, haunted hayrides, birthday celebrations and treats, a Valentine's Day potluck, ice cream with Goldie Gopher, bubble tea get-togethers, and many, many study dates at coffee shops around the Twin Cities. School sure is fun when we have a community to do it together. For many of us, occupational therapy is more than just a career. It's an opportunity to make an impact on the, I'm gonna come over here. It's an opportunity to make an impact on the world around us. OT uses a client-centered approach to ensure that the therapy is focused on each patient's personal goals and needs. With this, there is a broad scope of practice with OTs helping individuals from preemies in the NICU all the way till older adults. OT serves as a platform to advocate for the world around us where differences are embraced and all people have the opportunity to complete meaningful activities. For some students, they are inspired to be an OT by shadowing and volunteer experiences. For others, they are passionate about making a difference after family and friends have experienced the impact of occupational therapy. Here are a few quotes stated from some of my classmates. I want to help people be able to participate in not only activities that they need to do, but also the activities that they want to do, the ones that make life fulfilling. Another student shared, I chose OT because I have family members who have gone to OT their entire life, which has allowed me to see the true impact the profession makes on families. We look forward to being continuous learners and making an impact on the world. Thank you for being here to celebrate our educational endeavors. Roll the boat, Sky Mont, go Gophers.
Thank you, Rachel, Hope, Haley, and Taylor. Now will the Year 1 students please stand, and Dr. Scott Miller will honor each student by assisting the donning of their jackets today as Dr. Patricia Shaber announces their names.
Do they know they're? Asha Ahmed. Morgan Baton. Leanne Bozer. Brianna Buffington. Ellie Butte. Emily Chatterton. Isabel Demo. Megan Dunning. Natalie Edgett. Rebecca Gamak. Molly Hansen. Natalie Husker. Gabriella Hudson. Rachel Jerabek. Elena Johannek. Miriam Khalil. Emily Klicka. Olivia Kuricek. Ayla Lemke. Hope Loosbrock. Trit Liu. Taylor McShane. Haley Molloy. Najma Omar. Nicole Pavic. Haley Reinhardt. Emily Reiner. Lauren Schuler. Sylvia Souchet. Tenzin Sharab. Leah Snyder. Maddie Steffen. Zoe Stone. Emily Udelich. Catherine Vo. Zineb Youssef. Mali Chachka. Congratulations, Year 1 students. You have earned the right to wear this jacket as you complete the requisite knowledge and performance preparing you to be successful in practice courses, Level 1 fieldwork, and within the community at large.
Thank you, Dr. Shaver. At this time, I invite Annika Evers and Sylvia Swanson to the podium to share a presentation created by the class of 2024, our Year 2 students. Hi, Annika. Glad to see you again.
Hi everyone, my name is Annika Evers and I'm a student from the Rochester class of 2024. Unfortunately, the representative from the Twin Cities was not able to be here today, so I will be speaking on behalf of both cohorts. Let's keep this short and sweet. So, highlights from year 2. This year we really kind of delved into a lot more hands-on work, which is awesome. We had the privilege of taking an assistive technology course, and we got to learn about things, low-tech things from pencil grips or thermoplastic fabrications all the way to high-tech eye gaze tracking devices and things that help people with different abilities to engage in meaningful occupations. In these pictures you can see we're learning about the low vision strategies and also learning how to use switches. We also learned about interventions to support occupations because everything we do is occupation-based if you haven't realized that already. So these things are things like taping or even like electromagnetic stimulation or paraffin wax as you see on the right. We also, in the last part of the semester, took an orthotics class where we got to make different orthotics knot splints. And they, for our thumbs, hands, wrists, and got graded on them, which was not as scary as I thought it would be. We also were able to do a medical supply tour in Rochester. We toured wow, it is blanking me, Reliable Medical, and the Twin Cities toured Handy Medical, and we got to learn about all different wheelchairs and how they're really customized to fit each different person and their body type, and as well as the different things that can be added on to them as far as like power things or even controlling it with your head or just the touch of your cheek and things like that. So what's next? Well, we are almost done with our didactic coursework. Woo! And next up is level 2 fieldwork, which, as I'm sure you all know, is those 2 12-week clinical experiences. So students will be all over Minnesota mostly. Some will be kind of lingering in other states, and will be in settings like hospitals, schools, outpatient clinics, things like that. And as Peggy mentioned earlier, working full-time under the direct supervision of an occupational therapist. So I wanted to do a few fieldwork spotlights to give you a little taste of what we'll be up to. So Bree Spicer, in the spring of 2024, will be at the Minneapolis VA Medical Center. She is most excited for collaborating with current professionals in the field, stepping outside of her comfort zone, and applying what she's learned in coursework to real-life scenarios. Sylvia Swanson from the Twin Cities campus in the fall of 2023 will be at the NICU in the mHealth Fairview Hospital. She's most excited for being immersed in a completely new setting, building her base of knowledge as a future OT practitioner and working with families and infants. Anna Dries from the Rochester cohort in the summer of 2023 will be at the Amherst H. Wilder Foundation, where she is most excited for applying the OT process in a community setting, using creative problem solving to create interventions, and applying professional collaboration in a real-life setting. I want to echo what the first years said in showing our gratitude to all of our family and friends and faculty that have supported us along the way. I know we're not always super pleasant to deal with, but we appreciate you for putting up with us, and someday it'll all be worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Annika. Will the Year 2 students please stand? You have earned the token of an OT bag and toolkit to prepare you for the rigors of Level 2 fieldwork. You have nearly completed the OT practice and Level 1 fieldwork courses, and you have earned the right to go to Level 2 fieldwork. So please walk across the stage to receive your bag as each student is announced by Dr. Mike Jensen. A hint, remember to check inside your bag for some of the tools to do your work.
Megan Ben-Boom. Lauren Bertrand. Mackenzie Blickham. Emily Bertger. Petra O'Connor. Jessica Carlson. Jillian Dahl. Zachary Engel. Annika Evers. Chelsea Falgren. Callie Sizer. Haley Hargroder. Katie Habaker. Erin Hilligans. Jordan Ivy. McKenna Lawrence. Catherine Luke. Sarah Miller. Madison Morrow. Alejandra Munoz Salas. Joshua Polanski. Rachel Pop. Sarah Preisinger. Mesa Tollefson. Ashley Weddington. Congratulations, Year 2 students. You have the tools to be successful in Level 2 fieldwork.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jensen. I now introduce the third and final presentation created by students in the last year of the OTD curriculum. Will Carl Dischinger come to the podium to share a presentation created by the class of 2023.
Greetings. I am Carl, third-year student, and I'm going to speak on behalf of our third-year cohort. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about our journey throughout the University of Minnesota's OTD program as we progress our last semester for our capstone projects. Our cohort started off with a unique experience as we began the program during the pandemic. We spent almost our entire first year virtually, which provided its own set of unique learning experiences. Although we had a unique start to the program, we have had so many different learning opportunities through our labs and fieldwork. As a year 3 student, this is when we really begin to explore our experiential learning, and I will speak more about these opportunities. One of the important and exciting things that we get to do as a year 3 student is move into our level 2 fieldwork experiences, as the other cohorts have mentioned. We participate in 2 12-week fieldwork experiences where we are on site with a licensed OT for 40 hours a week. Depending on our interests and availability, these placements include OT in the community, inpatient, and outpatient settings. Students had the chance to experience acute care throughout the hospital systems, community placements in mental health and older adult populations, hand therapy, transitional care units and skilled nursing facilities, and pediatric placements that are both inpatient and outpatient. These are just to name a few of the many different directions that we are able to go in the fieldwork experience. Sorry. Technical difficulties of the presenter.
There you go.
Now I still need to scroll down. There seems to be a... Sorry about this, folks. All right, we'll skip ahead. All right, another key part of our experiential learning is our capstone project. The third-year capstone project is a 14-week in-depth experience where students are given the opportunity to take leadership roles and explore increased autonomy by implementing a project at a site of their choice. Students take the lead on these projects by contacting sites, developing their own project to implement occupational therapy practices that meet the needs of the site. Projects can be based on the following categories that include, but are not limited to, advanced clinical practice, program development, education, and research. The capstone project is an opportunity for the students to merge their educational and fieldwork experiences with leadership and creativity. We begin our projects starting this summer. Here are a few of the different areas where students will be implementing data-driven projects. Hippotherapy, which is OT with horses as a mode of therapy. Sounds very exciting. OT with the use of virtual reality, hand therapy research, older adult nutrition, specialty programming at Gillette Children's Hospital, emotional regulation for youth and foster care, VA hospital, cardiac rehab, program development and accessibility in schools and camps, and research and therapeutic interventions for autistic youth. So this was just a small overview of the experiential learning that occurs during our third year of the program. I want to thank everyone for taking this time to learn more about what we do as third-year students. This is an exciting time for all of us as we begin our capstone project and we look ahead to graduation. All of these learning opportunities have helped us gain the skills to become the best OTs that we can be. And I thank you for that. And on behalf of my own cohort, to the students in my cohort who are not able to attend because they are busy at fieldwork at this moment, I just want to say we miss you, we love you, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Will the Year 3 students please stand? You receive a pin to remember your alma mater and a badge to wear into your capstone as you travel to far places and apply occupational therapy principles in a variety of settings. Dr. Sterner Sampers will present the pins to honor your achievement, and Dr. Terry Ann Jones will announce each student as they cross the stage. Thanks. I don't think it was bad.
Asiya Abdullahi. Carl Dischinger. Lauren Distad. Erica Elstrom. Rachel Hedges. Rachel Long, one of the many Rachels. Madison Stoner. Eliana Sudard Bangsund. Hannah Vandervoort. Okay. Congratulations, Year 3 students. You are ready to spread the work of an occupational therapy in areas of advanced practice, research, program development, and more. You are ready to go.
We're almost done. Next, will all the OTD students and OT faculty stand to recite the University of Minnesota Occupational Therapy Oath? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I believe that health is participation. I believe that health is participation in meaningful everyday activities and occupations. I believe that meaning is individually constructed. I believe that meaning is individually constructed. And that all human beings have inherent worth. And that all human beings have inherent worth. And must be treated with dignity and respect. And must be treated with dignity and respect. I pledge to uphold the core values of the profession. And strive to advance the science of OT. And foster health and quality of life. Of individuals, communities, and societies. Please sit. This ends our second annual OT recognition event. I want to thank the Center for Allied Health Programs, Operations, and Student Services staff for their support in this event. The faculty also thank those OTD students who created presentations for this ceremony and who submitted photos to share with you. And we also thank our Kaufman Union staff for helping to stream this event for those who could not attend in person. Students, please go to the Mississippi room, which is up on the 3rd floor, to be in a cohort, to have photographs of your cohort. Family and friends, please join us here for our after-ceremony reception, and I thank you for attending today.